Shalom Aleichem, peace be unto you. I'm Samekh,
I am Nico Wolfie.
and this is the Cross Blaze podcast, where it's faith, pop culture, and everything in between. Now, him and I filmed this episode a couple of days before we came up with the name and understood the full concept of our podcast. So, the idea of the podcast is we are going to explore media like film, TV, movies, TV shows, video games, books, comic books, etc., all that stuff, but look at it through a Christian biblical lens, but a very different Christian biblical lens because him and I are not your stereotypical Bible thumping Christians that don't even know what's in the book. We know what's in the book.
No, and we will also give references to scripture if so arises.
If y'all like topics such as, then give us a follow on all the platforms. So without further ado, here's our first episode.
See you guys on the other side. It's going.
Oh, I was waiting for you to start.
Oh, I was waiting for you, man.
You go.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our podcast. I am Nico Wolfie. This is Samekh Productions. Welcome.
Nice to meet you, people. You can call me Samekh, and you can call him Nico for short.
Yes. And what is the topic you want to talk about today?
Well, today I want to talk about a genre that is very close to my heart, and that is the men's adventure fiction genre.
Mm-hmm.
You know it, we all know it. It's interesting because it's such a very broad spectrum, but yet it is very unique. It can be many genres, such as action adventure, treasure hunting, detective noir, war, many different genres, every now and then even romance. But what usually keeps it men's adventure fiction is, well, it's in the name. It usually follows male protagonists having a totally epic adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we can all agree that for the most part, at least through mainstream, it's the genre's not in good shape.
No, I think that back in the day, like the books by Frank Peretti were a good example of men's adventure. With what was that guy called? With the who's like the Indiana Jones like character with his kids. Do you remember
Oh,
that?
I haven't read those, but I know what you're talking about. I don't remember what they were called,
Hmm.
but that right there, yes, like Indiana Jones, Band of Brothers,
Yeah.
a lot of the good old fashioned pulp,
Hmm.
like Conan the Barbarian,
Pulp
Solomon
Fiction.
Kane. The thing about Pulp Fiction is that necessarily isn't truly pulp.
Oh, it
I
isn't.
kind of have a pet peeve with that movie because it's
Ah.
not really.
Okay.
But what was it? King Solomon's Mines with Alan Quartermain. That
Hmm.
would be that's like pulp, right? Literally, Indiana Jones is literally the encompassment of pulp.
Okay.
Like a little bit of a rabbit trail. One of the reasons why that movie is so awesome is because George Lucas and Steven Spielberg spent so much time watching the old pulpy films from the 30s and
Yeah.
40s, and they read a crap ton of the pulp books.
Hmm.
And they were like, okay, we want to take this and literally encompass it all of it into one movie.
Hmm.
And that's why I think Raiders of the Lost Ark is like the peak men's adventure fiction film.
Yeah.
Like, you want to introduce anybody to the pulp genre, show them that movie.
Yeah. That's a. We should watch that at some point together. Anyways.
Oh, we should.
Yeah, I have it. But besides from that, I think that can't pull go also into the realms of say like fantasy and knights per se.
Yes, science fiction, fantasy, that all can be part of men's adventure. Like Conan the Bar, like I mentioned, Conan the Barbarian and Solomon Kane. Those are part of the sword and sorcery
Mm-hmm.
category.
Yeah, yeah. Wouldn't you consider GI Joe? Because I know you're a huge GI Joe fan. Wouldn't you consider that
Mm-hmm.
part of
Yes,
yeah.
that is like full blown men's adventure fiction. That was because the whole point of that was they were trying to sell action figures,
Yeah, yeah.
so they definitely made that for boys.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, stuff like that, stuff like many of the action films that we grew up watching that were male centered. There's even some that are actually female centered, but they still have that same feel
Can you give me
as
an example
men's.
of one?
Well, Terminator,
Terminator.
Sarah
Yeah,
Connor,
yeah.
Sarah Connors,
Mm-hmm.
Aliens,
Mm-hmm.
Ellen Ripley.
Hmm.
That
Uh,
those would fit in that genre.
does Resident Evil count back in the day? Because the Resident Evil films, because it is female based. Just to,
That I mean, sure, I guess.
yeah.
They're they're really not the greatest example because
No, I know they're not the great movies, but I just wonder
they're
if it.
not the greatest example, but they could fit.
Yeah.
But needless to say, the Men's Adventure Fiction podcast is a great podcast, and they definitely go into much more depth about this.
Hmm.
But and I am part of their Discord,
Hmm.
and I have chatted with the hosts before who have started their own publishing company, Veritas Entertainment,
Yes.
to try and bring back the mid-adventure podcast, well, the mid-adventure genre back.
Hmm.
And I myself and my brother Aaron have joined them in publishing our first short story through their book Western Tales.
Yes.
16 authors, 15 stories, one collection. It's really great, really awesome. You should go grab it. It's on Amazon. It's
Link
a
in the description.
bestseller. Oh yeah, and it is a bestseller in not one, not two, but three categories.
And my
At one
friend,
point, it held. At one point, it even held number 20 in top 100 best-selling action adventure short story collections. So within 2 days of it being released on Amazon.
sweet,
So I'm very proud of that. That's really cool. But then it got dethroned by a bunch of smut books.
which we're trying to dethrone.
Yes, which is part of this topic. Men's adventure fiction kind of nowadays has a bad taste in people's mouths, especially the books, because a lot of times it's cheap storytelling and it's involves a lot of smut.
Yeah.
And that's not what it was ever supposed to be.
No.
Like, yes, I know that in the past there were book covers with a half naked woman beside the dude. Yes, I know that was a thing back then. I don't necessarily agree with it, but at least the storytelling in and of itself was pretty good.
Hmm.
So my hope is, why don't we go back to the good old storytelling with a better cover?
Yeah. Especially like with the cover. If you've seen, I'll put up some examples in the editing of the covers that he's made, for examples, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, in the editing, I'll put some covers that he's made as an example of stuff that we should go back to
Mhm,
in terms of book covers.
mhm.
Um, I was gonna say that I don't know if Star Wars falls under this realm. Would you say it does?
No, it does.
Yeah.
Star Wars would still fall into the men's adventure fiction.
Okay.
Because here's the thing, especially, I would definitely say, especially the very first one,
Mm-hmm.
because something that's very little known about it. I forget her name,
Mm-hmm.
but George Lucas wrote the basic idea of Star Wars, and when he submitted it to turn for it to be turned into a film, it got shot down because it was utter crap.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually have talked to a guy who somehow managed to find the original script, and he did confirm it was terrible.
Yeah.
But there was, I forget her name. I need to go look this up. Maybe we can edit this somewhere.
Yeah.
But her and her
I'll
husband,
here, like right here. I'll edit it in right here.
okay, her and her husband, I believe, went and rewrote it, and they were both pulp writers.
Yeah.
They both wrote pulp books. So they took the basic idea and then they created the version what we know now.
Mm. Yeah.
And then of course Lucas still managed to go back and make edits, which is fine. He was the head of the film project. But if you really look at it, it was essentially a space western.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So westerns are definitely mid to feature fiction.
Of course. Yeah.
So
Westerns are great.
so like I said, the term mid to feature fiction is a very broad and large category.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of the films that especially young boys grew up watching and young men continue to watch would fall in the mid adventure fiction category.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, haven't you noticed that along with the rest of the storytelling, it is greatly suffering from just uninspired, poor storytelling?
I can agree with that.
And it's also like being for it to be men's adventure fiction, it seems to be very demasculated, especially
Unfortunately,
very recently. Yeah.
yeah, because the women have to be put on a pedestal and and stuff like that. But I mean, there is possible to write good female characters in my opinion, like with Lord of the Rings, for example, like with Arwen. She was the whole "I am no man" scene. People call that woke, but that is literally the least woke thing I've ever seen in fiction.
Most people would agree that's not woke,
I've
but
seen a whole
like
Reddit thread.
I have seen. I'll get to that in a second,
Sure.
but I agree that it's not only because of the whole female empowerment thing or the we have to do the strong female characters.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the only reason. Now, one of the reasons, I mean, the Mary Sue has been talked to death. Let's just be honest here.
Yeah,
But
Mary Sue's were terrible.
I will briefly explain my viewpoint on it.
Sure.
Like I mentioned earlier, you can put a female lead in this genre.
Mm-hmm.
Ellen Ripley is one of my favorite examples.
Mm-hmm.
She was such a great character.
What's she from?
But they gave Aliens.
Aliens. Okay.
You need to watch that movie. I'll show you that movie eventually.
Is it on Tubi?
Not right now.
Darn.
It's on Blu-ray. I can stream it to you
Okay,
through
cool.
my PC.
Yeah, sure.
But so they gave her motivation
Mm-hmm.
because in the first movie was all about her trying to survive, and I mean, yes, this is a spoiler, but the movie's been out for 40 years. Get over it. She's the only survivor of that movie, of the first one.
Okay.
And at the time, people were not expecting that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then in the second movie, these Marines essentially bring her in to kind of help them figure out how to deal with the aliens, the xenomorphs.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't want to go at first, but she's like, these people are going to get themselves killed, and I keep having these nightmares about the xenomorphs, so I got to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And in the extended version, which is, I think, is the version you should see, it turns out she's a mother. But because she was in space for so long in that cryostasis chamber, her daughter is now dead while she's still young. So
Oh,
she's
so it's
not
kind
only
of like cryostasis is sort of like carbon freezing.
yes.
Gotcha.
So her daughter's dead. She's still alive. She has the trauma of what happened in the previous movie, so she's kind of dealing with a lot. Well,
Of
then
course.
she ends up meeting. So her and the Marines go down to this colony that's been practically wiped out by the xenomorphs, but she finds a little girl who's a survivor. So, being a mother who just lost her child, this is now her character motivation. She's like, I'm going to do everything I can to get this little girl out of here alive.
Yeah.
And yes, she does. She gets guns. She starts kicking ass, But a lot of it has to do with how she thinks.
Mm-hmm. It's very
So
feminine.
yes, she's a mother. She's feminine. She's a little bit of a tomboy because because of
Tomboys
the
are fun.
setting. But yeah, it's like they made someone work. They didn't just make her invincible. They gave her flaws, and she had to adapt and overcome.
Mm.
If you make female characters the way you do males, you just write them well.
Mm-hmm.
Give them flaws. Give them things to adapt. Then there you go.
Yeah.
The whole idea of them being perfect and all the males being stupid,
doesn't
that's
work.
when it's wrong.
It
Now,
doesn't work.
even in movies, now going back to that's not only the reason why the genre is failing, it's like even with movies where they don't do that, the men just aren't men.
Mm-hmm.
They're not masculine. They're buffoons and wimpy. It's like
I personally think
this isn't why we watch this stuff.
yeah, I personally think that started to happen in the early 2000s and stuff when they introduced the father figures into cartoons. Like, for example, I remember watching this kids cartoon on Disney Channel called The Replacements, where the dad is a absolute idiot and the mom is a super spy. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm. I haven't seen it, but I've heard of that.
Yeah, and I think that was the catalyst, or at least the beginning of that downfall, in my opinion. At least one of the examples. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, like stuff. A lot of sitcoms. I mean, I know sitcoms is not men's adventure fiction, but this is good to talk about. Sitcoms. I mean, good grief, Family Guy is a prime example. Simpsons. It's like they always made all the father figures, the men,
Mm-hmm.
idiots.
Yeah,
They made
and
all the
or
kids smarter. They all made all the kids smarter and the wives smart, and just made the fathers idiots.
and
And
or
that scene. Oh,
if we're taking Family Guy as an example, and or predatory.
sorry, the audio cut out. What'd you say?
I said if we're taking Family Guy as an example, and or predatory.
Yes, that too. It's like they that just bled in to every other aspect. Because let's just be honest, everyone at this point knows that Hollywood is owned by a bunch of creeps,
Yeah,
by elitists, by creeps. Essentially, when you really start to think about it, the end agenda, which I mean, honestly, it kind of worked for at least for a while.
mm-hmm.
Society has tried so damn hard to destroy the father.
I will agree with that.
They have destroyed, they're trying to destroy what is masculine and call it toxic.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, well, these things are childish, but at the same time, if you go this way, then you're overly masculine to where they make it to where it's like, they confuse everyone. They're like, well, what am I supposed to be?
Yeah, and I think that's one reason why transgenderism happens a lot with men. They want to be females because they don't want the responsibility or the pressure to be a man. I think that's
That
one
is
reason.
also a
That's one reason
possibility.
why.
Yes.
That's one reason why. But in terms of sitcoms and stuff, like I've seen it time and time again where the parents, not just the man, but also the mom, are just complete and utter idiots. Like Wizards of Waverly Place, and ironically, it's mostly the Disney sitcoms. You know what I'm saying? And this
Yeah.
happened in the 2000s, the mid to early 2000s.
It works.
Yes, it does.
Sorry, you can edit that out.
Yeah, you're good.
But no, yeah, I agree. And now they're going after the women.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they've destroyed the father, they've destroyed the men, and now they're destroying motherhood.
Mm-hmm.
It's the
It's
whole agenda. But anyways, we're getting off topic. But
not
yeah,
necessarily. This does fall into the problems with the genre. I don't say it's off
oh,
topic.
true. Yeah, it's yeah. That's also something. Actually, now that I think about it, yeah, fatherhood, motherhood, and just the family.
Mm-hmm.
Many a times it was a huge theme with the men's adventure fiction because let's just be honest, all of us men long for that. Deep down, we want to start a family. That's what we as human beings were made for.
Yeah,
We were
exactly.
made to create and to build and to grow, to
Mm-hmm.
prosper.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of the men's adventure fiction is. It's about fighting for what's right, getting the girl, and yes, I understand that in the past they did use the damsel in distress a little too much, but now we go the opposite direction to where it's more the dude in distress.
A little short for a stormtrooper, aren't you? Oh, the uniform.
Yeah.
Good. So, in terms of fiction and writing, I feel like the Disney is a huge culprit to why the men's genre has declined. Unfortunately, because let's
Oh,
look at
for sure.
like they're a huge culprit in this, and let's not take it. We're not going to talk about that bombshell of a movie, Snow White, obviously.
Enough people have talked about that movie. We don't even need to touch that.
Yeah, I know. Let's not touch that rotten egg, but you get my point. But
Hmm.
you can speak a little bit about your the Day of Calamity if you wish, but
Okay.
don't
So,
spoil it obviously. But you
oh,
can.
I'm not gonna spoil it. So essentially, uh, for everyone listening, I am a Christian. Nico's Christian,
Yep, two
but
Christian dudes.
two Christian dudes that confuse the crap out of a lot of people for how we believe because we're not your stereotypical mainstream Christian.
Yeah,
That's a complete. That's hey, that's a topic for another episode right there.
yeah, totally.
But anyways, so ever since I was a kid, I have been coming up with stories. I remember as 5 years old writing goofy little comic books that were essentially Star Wars ripoffs, but I guess you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I was 12, I really took writing seriously, and I've been creating my own little universe, essentially a faith-based universe about the definitive good versus evil.
Hmm.
yes, there's some morally gray characters in there, but that's life. But essentially, I thought, well, why not to bring back the men's adventure fiction genre, but add a faith-based center to it, to
Mm-hmm.
where yes, it's dark, yes, it's gritty, yes, it's violent, it's got action, but at the core, it has morals and standards. These characters strive for something.
I think it's very similar to the Bible in that regard because there's violence and all kinds of horrible things in the Bible, but
Oh, for sure. Yeah, the
but
Bible is honestly, when I was a kid, that was one of my favorite books to read.
mhm.
I mean, I still love reading it, but I think at this point, maybe it's just because I'm an adult, but at this point, it's like I've learned so much about the Bible and read so many times.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, oh yeah, I remember this part, but
Hmm.
still, I love it anyways.
But
But
my
like,
my point is that in terms of the violence, and the Bible is a descriptive book, not a
mhm.
post postscriptive, right? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't promote its violence.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But so essentially, with my short story, Day of Calamity. So, anyways, I've been working on my book series, and I became part of the Men's Adventure podcast Discord. Like I mentioned earlier, I became a decently active member in that community. I've taken advice from different writers. We've talked to each other about our projects and stuff. And the owners of the podcast own their own publishing company, Veritas Entertainment.
Mm.
And on their social medias, they said, hey, we're going to do a 10-story anthology for a short story collection, but it's Western themed. If you think you have what it takes, then submit your short story by this certain date. Well, I thought about it a little bit. I originally wanted to join their short film contest, but I don't have any equipment to do anything like that. So I thought, okay, well, what would I write? But then I remembered a story that my brother Aaron came up with a few years back,
Hmm.
but he essentially abandoned it because he only had the concept and he didn't know what to do with it,
Hmm.
because he was like, this isn't enough to work for a full novel, so he just kind of put it on the back burner. But I always remembered it because I really liked the idea. So I went to him. I was like, hey, do you remember that? And he was like, yeah, I kind of remember it. I told him about the prompt. He went up for it at first, but then I was like, well, hey, dude, think about it. If we get published, this could be a way for us to step into the writing world. He thought about it and was like, okay, let's do it. We had a lot of fun writing it together. I think it was like about a week, maybe two.
Hmm.
But yeah, it was really fun. We edited it. We gave it off to. We put it in the Men's Adventure podcast Discord first,
Hmm.
and asked a couple of them to read it. They gave a little bit of feedback. I actually put it in Zana server and
Hmm.
asked a couple of them for feedback. And I
Let's assume that people don't know who Zana is.
okay, Zana is a Christian rock metal artist that I really enjoy. Y'all should definitely go check her out.
Yeah,
Anyways,
plug for Zana.
yeah. Anyways, so I forget how to pronounce their name. I don't know if it's a chick. I don't know if it's a dude. They've never shown their face. They just only texted, and they read it. They're like, "Hey, I really love it, but I would change a couple of these grammar things, or you kind of were redundant in a couple of areas over here." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, that's yeah, that makes sense." We did those edits, submitted it to Veritas. Veritas actually complimented on our editing,
Hmm.
so I sent that person a message back. I'm like, hey, thank you very much. You probably got us in here.
Yeah.
But they loved the grittiness of the story.
Hmm.
And yeah, that originally they were going to do 10 short stories, but they did 15,
Hmm.
which is totally awesome. They, so me and Aaron, along with 14 other authors, did short stories, and they compiled it all together in one collection, Veritas Entertainment Western Tales Volume 1. 16 Rising Star authors, 15 gripping stories, one unforgettable collection. So, Aaron and mine, Ours, I believe, is number 10, which is called Day of Calamity. Oh boy, where is that?
I'll edit this out. Hitting the mic, I see. Very nice.
There's ours, Day of Calamity. So essentially, the short little premise of this one is Day of Calamity is about a group of outlaws who are being hunted down by an unknown force. Or should I
Yes.
say unknown person?
Forest person doesn't matter.
Okay. So it's pretty cool. It's short, sweet, and simple. I think it's one of the longer ones in there, but yeah,
Yeah, pick up your
it
copy. I'll leave a link in the description.
heck yeah.
Um, so back to the topic of men's adventure. What I would say that Marvel started out in that direction. Let's talk about Marvel for a second. Like, wouldn't you say that?
They did, yes, a lot, especially back in the early comics. That's essentially what Marvel, well, superheroes period, was made for because Captain America was a war hero.
Mm-hmm.
It was written during World War II
Yeah.
when men were literally going to war.
Mm-hmm.
Superman was supposed to be a symbol of hope during that war. Batman was originally he wasn't really a superhero. He was a detective. You
Yeah.
know, kind of very reminiscent of the gritty noir stories of that era.
And we don't talk
And
about Adam West's Batman.
I mean, as goofy as it did kind of usher in a different era for Batman and made some changes. But
Okay.
I do agree, it is definitely goofy.
Yeah,
It
it's
is
very
very
good.
goofy. I just every time I've seen it, I laugh my butt off at
Batman.
it. But back to Marvel, yes, superheroes were originally a more male oriented. I mean, they still are,
Mm-hmm.
but not to say that we don't like female superheroes. They have
No.
been popular for a long time.
What's a good example? Because, like, I think Black Widow is actually a good, well-told superhero. She's not necessarily has any powers per se, but she's still a good side character that actually helps in at least in the Avengers, in my opinion.
I mean, you have to look at Wonder Woman. I mean, I know she hasn't had really that much recently, which I find very interesting considering the push for female empowerment. They really haven't handled her films very well.
Isn't she
But when
the
she
one with the
came
golden
out,
lasso?
Wonder Woman from DC.
Yeah, golden lasso, right?
Yeah,
Okay, that's what I was making sure I was thinking of
when
the right
she came
character.
out, she was like a bombshell. That was just like amazing that there was a female superhero. And
Yeah.
She Hulk before they did what they did with the TV show was decently popular. You
Mm-hmm.
had Jean Grey who turned into Dark Phoenix. You had
Mm-hmm.
Mystique. You had I mean, good grief, there's an entire list of female superheroes, not just side characters, like main characters as well.
I think that
And
Spider Gwen or Ghost Spider is a good example of a female.
that's a good example. That's a
Yeah,
good
she's
example.
the only problem is that in Into the Spider Verse, everyone's taking out the fact that she had in the movie in her, I think it's in her bedroom. There's a sign that said "Protect Trans Kids," and they're saying, "Oh, she's trans, she's trans." That does not mean a thing. That was just Sony being it's Sony. Okay.
That was Sony being Sony. But anyways, so yeah, definitely Marvel was when it first started out, and even when the movies were coming out, men's adventure fiction. That would because they had similar values of these are men who are supposed to be fighting for what's right
Mm-hmm.
and trying to be a symbol of hope for the people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, nowadays we can all agree that's lost that.
Oh
Now it's
yeah.
just all about cash grab and all kinds of ridiculous stuff.
Yeah.
But you see, this is what I'm talking about. We need to take back the genre
Mm-hmm.
because it is affecting so many things that we have grown up and loved. It's
Yeah.
affecting movies, video games, books, TV shows, comic books. It's affected everything.
Can I get an
And this
example?
search, yeah, sure.
Yeah. There was a recent movie that me and my Bracky, he's one of my friends. So he's can't say his real name, but he goes by Brachidios Gaming. Um, we were hoping to see a great movie for the Monster Hunter movie with Artemis, the main character who's a female lead. But unfortunately, it's just garbage. She's a Mary Sue, and they nerfed her. Wait, no, other way. No, overpowered her to be so powerful that she can take on a literal Black Diablos, I believe. I think it was either Diablos or Black Diablos. You fought those guys in Monster Hunter Rise. Remember the brown horned monster that was a
Yeah.
pain to crack that would go underneath the sand and burst up and
Mhm.
make you go flying? Yeah, she could take
You
that
would
on
never, you would never
by
have a chance
herself.
to get it.
She could take one of those on by herself.
Mm.
That movie was just hot garbage.
Yeah, I mean that also that would that here's another topic for a different episode of how
Mm-hmm.
film adaptations don't ever get it right.
Nope. There are so many
But
problems with Monster Hunter.
but yeah, it's like nowadays they have taken these genres that we have known to grow and love. Because here's the thing: not only men love these things, there are plenty of women who love these things. Like my mom
Mm-hmm.
loves westerns. My mom watched a lot of things we grew up with.
Lone
Like
Ranger.
there's westerns are more than just the Lone Ranger, my friend.
I know, that's just an
I need to,
example.
I need to get, dude. I need to get you into westerns. I've got plenty of good ones. Like for an example, if anybody from the Men's Adventure podcast community is watching this, they're really going to appreciate this. Louis L'Amour.
I've never
Louis
heard of it.
L'Amour, dude, my brother in Christ.
I'm sorry.
I need to get you into him.
Okay.
He is great. He is known as one of the greatest Western writers ever. He has written over 100 books
Mm-hmm.
and short stories and all that stuff. Quite a few of his books have been made into films. Some of
Mm-hmm.
them pretty faithful, others
Not so much.
not so much. But the thing about him is he had a very simple writing style, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
But it was still good. He still came up with great stories about the front because he did his research. He himself grew up on the frontier, but he would do a lot of research about what frontier life was like. Just like survive. Going out there and living, surviving, because
Living off
that's
the land.
honestly living
Living.
off the land. Fighting against bad guys and fighting against nature. Because you see, that's honestly one of the biggest things about men's adventure fiction is
Mm-hmm.
because, granted, I'm thankful for it. We live, well, at least in some aspects, I'm grateful for it. We live in the modern age to where we don't need to go out there and literally fight just to eat.
Mm-hmm.
There are some aspects, yes, we all know there are some aspects of the modern age that suck,
Mm-hmm.
but what's so great about the men's adventure fiction is because deep within each of our souls and spirits is the primal instinct
Mm-hmm.
to go out there and live life the way our ancestors did, to go and hunt, to go and fight, to make that shelter, find water, skin the animal, cook the animal,
Mm-hmm.
just go out and explore all these unknown lands, have an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been so
Dumbed
stuck,
down.
dumbed down by society and by our jobs to where we're stuck.
Yeah.
And that's why these stories are so important, is because we yearn for something like that. It's like if we can't experience ourselves, we want to see it on the screen, we want to see it on paper,
Yeah.
we want to let our imaginations run wild and somewhat live out these fantasies.
Yeah, we do.
And it's by dumbing down what men's adventure fiction is, you dumb down that masculine longing that we all have.
Which is not right.
Exactly. We were all made to have an adventure. Now, here's the thing. Very similar to what the Men's Adventure podcast talks about. Luke Goodrich and Nathaniel Hummel have both talked about you shouldn't only read it in a book or watch it in a movie or play it in a game. You should still try to go out and live your life. Don't just stay stuck in your house or stay stuck at your job. You should try and go to live, like go hiking, go traveling, maybe learn some martial arts, work out. Um,
Yeah.
go to
I
the gun,
agree.
go to the shooting range and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But even then, it is still so important to have this, especially books, because nowadays people have lost how good a book can be.
Mm-hmm.
I love movies, I love video games, I love TV shows, I love comic books, but books are so important because I mean, so science proves that not only is it good for your mind, it helps your imagination. It would help you, uh, fellow writers. I mean, how are you going to write a book or write a script if you haven't read any?
Yeah,
You
exactly.
need to know, you need to be reading in
Mm-hmm.
order to figure it out. Like, I get it. I get it. I stopped reading, not at least reading a lot less
Mm-hmm.
than what I used to as a kid because of the phone.
Yeah.
I get it, but now I've definitely been reading a lot more often. And dude, many times it's like, yes, I know social media can be a good thing. Nico and I met each other through social media,
Yeah.
but many times put the phone away and pick up a book.
Yeah. I can agree
It's
with
so much
that.
beneficial to your mental
If
health and
if
your
you
well-being.
if you have a reading disability like I do, pick up an audiobook.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, pick up an audiobook. Spotify's got plenty of them. Audible's got plenty of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure.
If
But
you
yeah,
don't
books
have if you don't have the money to do that, most libraries, especially local libraries, have audiobooks.
for sure. Yeah, but yeah,
There's
it's
always
like,
another way around something. You just
oh yeah, there's always a way around it.
yeah, because
But yeah,
most
it's like,
people. Oh, sorry.
no, you go ahead.
Yeah, most people, and I hate to say this in this day and age, just say, "Oh, if I can't do that, then it's not for me." They don't try the alternatives. There's a lot of alternatives.
Yeah, for sure. Like, but yeah, as I was saying, it's like we need stories
Yes.
because when you really stop and think about it, I mean, this right here, this subject can be a subject for an entirely different episode, but I will definitely speak on it right now.
Mm-hmm.
You look at even some of the oldest stories known to man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to use the Odyssey as an example.
Mm-hmm.
That is immense adventure fiction.
Yep.
So, Beowulf, that is one of
Oh,
the oldest
Beowulf. I love the
Viking
story of
stories.
Beowulf.
That is immense adventure fiction.
Mm-hmm.
The West, superheroes, literally, you look at every era of storytelling, many of it is about men
Robin Hood.
overcoming. Yeah, Robin Hood, men overcoming something within themselves, men overcoming tyranny, men overcoming nature, men overcoming war. It's, or not even just men, it's just humanity overcoming evil.
Yeah, that's the ultimate
And
story.
it's the ultimate story. That's what the Bible is. That's literally what the history of our earth is. It is the ultimate fight of humanity versus evil.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look, this isn't just apply to men's adventure fiction, it applies to everything now. Haven't you noticed the push to try to make people sympathize with the villain and
Yes.
to lessen the villain, or
Yes.
even the push for anti-heroes? Now, don't get me wrong, I love myself a well-written anti-hero.
Deadpool.
I was actually going to say Punisher, but
Punisher's a good example. Venom in
I
some
don't think I don't
aspects.
think I don't think, in my personal opinion, I don't think Deadpool's really the best example. But
He's more for
that's
comedy, but that's beside the point.
true. But the thing why I like Punisher is he essentially, where the law fails, he picks it up.
Yeah, yeah, I got
Yes,
you.
sometimes he's very extreme about it, but anyways, I
I
just find
remember.
it. Hmm.
Oh, sorry. I remember a conversation. I think it's in not Dead, blah, 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 and Daredevil. I think it's on Disney Plus, the Daredevil Born Again series or something like that. Or is it? It's in one of the thing where he's talking to the Punisher and he has a very in-depth, heart-to-heart conversation with him, and it does touch upon so many subjects about good and evil.
That was the original Netflix series season 2.
Yeah, yeah. That conversation he had with Punisher was mm, chef's kiss.
That was just, yes, that was Chef's Kiss. The thing, what I loved about that situation is, even though I really mostly did agree with Punisher, I also agreed with Daredevil. It's like both of them were right in their own sense, but both of them were also wrong.
Yes, exactly. And that's where I think God comes into play with that because God is the ultimate judge.
Exactly. But yeah, it's like societies were literally correct, built upon storytelling. Like Greek mythology, Egyptian mythology, Roman mythology, Hindu mythology, the Chinese, Japanese, Korean
Mm-hmm.
mythologies, the pagan mythologies. Like they spent so much time crafting these stories that they literally founded their entire societies around.
Yeah, they
And
did.
you look at America and, well, honestly, the modern day world, we've done the same just with pop culture.
Yeah, we have. And I want to say, like, our founding fathers surrounded their belief system and the entire backing of our nation, because we live in America, if you're wondering, whoever's watching. Um,
Mhm.
Same state, by the way. Not going to give our location, but we live in the same state.
We do live 4 hours apart, though, so
Yeah, yeah.
there's that.
But the founding fathers built the core of our nation upon manly desires and roles. Wouldn't you agree?
Mhm. Oh, I 100% agree. They built that. I mean, look at what the Revolutionary War is the definitive misadventure story.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember,
They literally fought during the winter and a smallpox pandemic
yep,
and still won. Yes, granted they did have help, but still, it's like here they are kicking ass during all of that, and yeah, 2020 happens and everybody's scared to go outside.
yeah.
That's a topic for another time. But
Just write down all the other topics in our chat because we're doing this over Discord. If you're wondering, this is where the video's coming from.
yeah, I'll do that.
Um,
Anyways, so yeah, it's like not just Hollywood, but like especially the rise in just smut books and just smut content and all of that. It's like society is so trying to push away from the moral grounded, but also biblically grounded storytelling. Because let's just be honest, even some of the earliest Hollywood films had some faith based messaging to them,
I can see that.
and
Yeah.
a lot of books did as well. Because let's just be honest, the American values that most Americans are raised on are grounded in biblical virtues.
Yes.
It's like they're trying to do away with this and push a more modernism, which is honestly comes from selfishness.
Yes. Like,
Which,
can
when
I
you
give
really
an
stop to think
example?
about it, selfishness is literally the very first sin.
Yes, it is. Can I give an example? Like, I remember back
Yes.
in the day, I watching PBS Kids. Did you watch PBS Kids as a kid?
Oh yeah, I did.
Yeah, remember when they had the Book of Virtues on PBS Kids with the two kids and the buffalo and the weasel and all that stuff?
I'm not sure I saw that one, but I do know for a fact that a lot of the ones I grew up watching, they still taught, not only they taught the educational stuff, but they still taught good moral lessons.
Yes, I agree. Like the Book of Virtues, in my opinion, was a great example. That was on PBS Kids of all things, and we now know PBS Kids now has gone woke. So, eh.
Yeah, but yeah, so it's like the whole point of why I feel so close to the mid adventure genre is because one, it encompasses a lot of stuff. It's like if we take it back and start putting in the moral stories, the biblical virtues, the true and showcase true manhood, true fatherhood, true brotherhood.
Mhm.
Hopefully, that would not only bleed off into the other genres and they do the same, but let's just be honest here. A lot of young men, boys included, look to these stories to be inspired.
Yes,
And if you look at storytelling, like I said, they shape societies. Isn't I know this isn't the entire cause, but isn't it interesting that when filmmaking and storytelling became depraved, society followed?
I agree. Um,
Yes, this filmmaking is not the only reason why, but I truly believe it is one of the huge benefactors to it.
yes, because unfortunately, I think the enemy is in Hollywood, and
Oh, for sure.
yeah, and that we need to fight against that. in our, like with Angel Studios, for example, they made The Sound of Freedom. They did The Chosen, which I think is a good comeback towards Hollywood, the dramatic side of Hollywood. But we still
Hmm.
gotta keep pushing because there's so many things that are going on. We're called to do this stuff.
Exactly. That's what Veritas Entertainment's doing through the book world. That's what they're trying to do with that. Because it's like so many Christians who are storytellers think that we need to do the goofy Hallmark stuff where everything's light and dandy. It's like, no.
No,
That's the whole reason why we have the Christian movie stereotype. Men's adventure fiction, I think, is the perfect genre to start doing this again.
yeah, I agree.
Because especially stuff in the frontier, many, like literally, most of the settlers were Christians.
Hmm.
At least they claim to be. I don't know their hearts. I'm just saying, societally, America was founded upon Christianity.
Yes,
The Europeans, the medieval ages, their societies were built on Christianity.
yes,
And even for a time, the Viking era was Christian.
it was for a time period until
So,
they went Norse.
no, well, actually, they were Norse first. Then the Christians came and evangelized to them, and then they turned Christian,
Oh, thanks
and
for the
then that
history lesson.
eventually, transitioned into the medieval era.
Gotcha, gotcha.
That's a long history lesson. I don't want to spend too much time on that.
No,
But seriously, the men's adventure fiction genre is the perfect way to spread the gospel.
I agree.
You take these stories, you don't preach at the audience. You don't constantly smack them across the face with the Bible, but you put in biblical based values such as standing up for what is right, fighting against tyranny, helping those who are in need, becoming a father, starting a family.
Hmm.
You know, staying true to who a man is.
Hmm.
And sure, definitely make some of them Christian, show their ways of life, their prayer life, how their faith keeps them going. Kind of like how Hacksaw Ridge did.
Yeah,
That Hacksaw Ridge, the Book of Eli, and honestly, yeah, the Hacksaw Ridge and the Book of Eli, I think, are probably some of the greatest examples of how Christians can make a faith-based story.
yeah. And I'm
And
surprised that Andrew Garfield was
both are
in
means
that.
fiction. Andrew Garfield actually has a deep respect for Christianity.
He does? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he does. He actually respects, even though unfortunately he doesn't see Jesus Christ as Lord Savior. He respects him as a person and his teachings. I
Okay.
saw him say that personally in an interview.
Yeah. Okay. That makes me happy because I never
That
knew
was
that
that
about
was
it.
pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like you don't even have to necessarily even put flat out faith in the story, because some of the stories I've written, they're not in there because it's not necessarily needed, but still morality
Hmm.
is.
Hmm.
Which then again, I mean, morality is biblical, so I guess it still
If you don't
is.
have,
But
you can't, because there's so many atheists and Satanists and pagans who say that good and evil are man-made concepts. That makes no sense.
that makes no sense whatsoever.
You
The
can't.
whole concept of good and evil goes against man's nature. Man's nature is just pure evil.
Yeah, I know.
As I was saying, that's why I think this is so important,
Hmm.
because this is more than just, some people are thinking, oh, it's just a movie, oh, it's just a book. Why is it that big of a deal?
Hmm.
It's like, look at our society, look at social media. People will literally have knockdown, drag out arguments over stuff about pop culture.
Hmm.
Pop culture matters. Pop culture has literally shaped our country, has shaped our culture. That's why it's called pop culture.
Yep.
So if we take back this genre, then there is a possibility that we can take back all of storytelling and show people what it actually means to be a man, to
Hmm.
be a woman,
Yeah,
and to be morally correct and possibly even lead them to Christ,
I can agree with that.
which this country desperately needs.
Yeah.
Because even for those of you out there who aren't Christian, I think we can all agree that when this country was founded around Christianity, it was a lot better.
Hmm. Unfortunately, there'd be a lot of people who would argue with that, but those are
I
people who.
know,
But
but
I'm not one of them, obviously. But even then, those people still need to be, need to be shown Christ's love and His mercy too.
exactly, and that's what this genre could also do.
Like there are people who, like when the villain is shown mercy and it actually sees their error of their ways. You know what I'm saying? I love when that happens. I hate to use this as an example, but My Little Pony, the villains are not. The villains actually, like Sunset Shimmer and Equestria Girls, for example. She was a prime example of when the villain gets redeemed. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
That is, I love that when that can happen in
I do
storytelling.
think that it can be good, but you have to do it right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people are gonna hate me for this. I don't care. But Last of Us Part Two, I think, is the prime example of how not to do it.
Uh,
Like the way I get what they were trying to do, but they did not deliver it correctly, in my opinion.
yeah,
But also, there needs to be a balance. There needs to be many times where, yes, they are given mercy, but similar to my story and a lot of stories I write, they also need to get what they rightfully deserve because judgment, and justice will eventually come.
yes, I agree. And
So there needs to be a beautiful balance of both.
you mentioned sympathizing with the character, with the villain and everything. Is that one reason why you don't like DMC?
You cut out. Say that
I
again.
said, is that one reason why you don't like DMC?
Yes, because one of the reasons I particularly don't care for Devil May Cry is because a lot of people actually do agree with me. I'm so tired of seeing the whole, oh, but it's a good demon. Oh, but this demon's different. It's like, no, it's a demon. Kill it.
I get
Demons
what you're
are
saying.
evil, demonic deities. It's like, stop trying to make something evil good.
I
Kill it.
I get it.
Throw
Yeah.
Doom Guy on it.
Doom is
Rip and
Doom is
tear
a
until it is done.
yeah. I can understand that point of view. I like DMC as a story and stuff, but we don't. That's just something me and him agree to disagree on, and that's totally fine. But yeah, I was asking that from his perspective.
Oh yeah, I mean that's also something about this genre. There are going to be many different opinions, many different little ideologies in here and stuff. But that is also something that, and once again, another topic
Mm-hmm.
that we could talk about. You don't really have to get into arguments about this kind of stuff. You can have your little debates, share your opinions, agree to disagree.
Mm-hmm. There.
Honest and pop culture in this genre needs to learn that too.
Yeah, I
Like
agree.
it, yeah, because I've seen people go into arguments about stuff like that. Granted, I understand why, but for the most part, it's like shape your, leave your opinion and then move on. But that reason alone shows you how
Maturity.
important pop culture is. Because like, yes, it's kind of immature how they do it, but it's like that right there is the prime example of why this is so important. Because you look at any comment section about people talking about a movie, there's going to be an argument
Yeah,
because people are so invested into this stuff.
I agree. And the thing is that if you just saw right there, because I know that there's so many people, I included, who would debate how DMC is not a bad, story and a moral story and everything. I could debate that all day long, but there's no need to do it with my friend here, Samekh, because we agree to disagree, and that's fine. It's okay.
Mhm. Okay. Anyways, back to the subject. Yes, I'm kind of repeating myself at this point, but I'll say it again. This genre is important
It is.
because so much of our pop culture, most of our pop culture is literally created around men's adventure fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Comic Con, that is a prime example. So much of that is this genre.
Mm-hmm.
Most of comic books, most of movies, TV shows, especially video games, are so wrapped around this genre.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can take it back, then we could possibly essentially take back entertainment, period, make it better again, make storytelling the way it should be. Because let's just be honest, how many films of the past decade
Flopped.
can you will have flopped, but how many of them can you quote? How many of the characters are memorable?
Not
Or
not
a better
many.
way of asking, how many of the movies, TV shows, video games, and comic books of the past 10 to 15 years can we take and give to the next generation?
Not many.
Not many. Because think about it. How many movies of the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, I would even say 2000s.
Hmm.
The 2000s, not as much. I think that's when it started
Hmm.
to fail, but there were still some in there.
Hmm.
How many of those movies can we quote?
A lot.
How many of those characters do we remember?
Hmm. Like
A
Luke
lot.
Skywalker, Indiana Jones, all that stuff. Peter Parker.
Terminator,
Yeah,
Rambo,
yeah, yeah.
Marty McFly, so many of them. And yet, you look at from 2010 onwards,
Just
the
forgettable.
only character that I can think of as of right now would be John Wick.
John Wick. Yeah,
I would say Ethan Hunt, but he technically started in the 1990s, so he doesn't count.
yeah,
But the Mission Impossible movies, even the recent ones, I still think were really, really great.
yeah. I've
But yeah,
seen
really,
some of those, and also I've also seen some of the Mission Impossible. What's the other guy? James Bond. James Bond's another good example.
hmm yeah, but yeah, but here's the thing. The thing about James Bond is, once again, he was a character that started back in the 60s, technically 50s if you want to go by the books, but like going by the movies,
Hmm.
60s.
Yeah,
But like seriously, it's like the movies, the media back then gave us something to look into the past, and they gave us their stories.
hmm,
My dad, my parents showed us the movies that they grew up watching.
yep. Mine
Like,
too.
this is like, they'd be like, I went to the theaters for this.
Hmm.
I can rarely think of any film that I could generally look at my children and go, I went to the theaters for this, or this was big in my day. I could literally name just a few, and that
Same.
is it.
Yeah, like the classic Pixar, for example. I would share those with my kids. Classic Pixar,
Oh, for sure.
but nothing of the recent generation. Nothing.
Or like, for an example, my grandfather, he got us into westerns.
Yeah,
He loved John Wayne. He loved some Clint Eastwood. Although he did show us some of Clint Eastwood's until we were much older, because those were more adult oriented.
yeah,
John Wayne, you could just give to a kid and be like, have fun with this. This is awesome.
yeah,
And like, of course, not men's adventure fiction, but he loved showing us a bunch of comedies that he grew up, especially the Three Stooges.
yeah,
But
yeah.
like, seriously, it's like, what can I give to my children?
Hmm.
The only thing that I could give to my children is what was given to me when I was a kid
Yeah,
by the previous generation. That's it. It's like I really don't have much in this day and age
and it's
that
sad.
I can be like, hey, here's the only the only thing that I could give to my children is what I write.
Hmm.
Which then again, now that I think about it, I'm probably gonna have to give it to them when they're older because my stuff is more young adult oriented. But still,
Hmm.
it's like we don't have anything to give the next generation.
No, don't.
It's like everything's weak, wimpy, and
Dumb
broke,
down. Yeah, and
and
dumb
dumb
down.
down.
Yeah.
Like even then, and even some of the good stuff. Like there's some good stuff out there, but a lot I will admit is everything's dumbed down and kiddified. Yes, we definitely need something for the little kids,
Hmm.
something for boys, but at the same time, it's like we still need the men's adventure fiction.
Yes.
We need something for the adults, the teenagers to strive for,
Hmm.
something for them to look at and be like, if this character could do this, this, and this, why can't I do? Why
X, Y,
can't
and
I
Z.
overcome? Why can't I do X, Y, Z to overcome my situation?
Well,
And also, what I found interesting is they want to dumb down stuff like PG-13 movies for an example. They don't ever feel PG-13. They more feel like PG nowadays. But
That's debatable with a few PG-13 movies. Some of them are
well,
actually on borderline R territory.
true. But like a lot of them, it's like they want to dumb them down so that way they can get more kids in the theaters. It's like look at the first Indiana Jones movie for an example. That movie was PG, and you literally see a guy's face melt off,
Well, that was
and
before the standards.
I was like 6 when I saw that movie, and that's one of my favorite movies. It's like kids can handle a lot more than you think
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
if you raise them to not be a little wimp.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying.
Mm-hmm. That actually reminds me. I know that you're not into the anime and manga scene as much as I am, but um, the thing is that the reason why I love Ichigo as a character from Bleach so much is because he is a teenager on the verge of adulthood, and he strives and overcomes and keeps on the grind to protect his family and his friends. That's literally his
Oh yeah,
entire
for sure.
goal. That's why I love the story.
Yeah.
It's a boy's story.
Yeah.
I look up to him as a character because he trains and it's not just oh, your powers are just given to you. No, he has to go through blood, sweat, and tears.
Oh, for sure. Like my favorite video game, for an example, Ghost of Tsushima. One of the reasons why I love it so much. I mean, the graphics, awesome. Gameplay, awesome. But the story is what really captivated me. Was essentially the premise is it's when the Mongols invaded Tsushima,
Mm-hmm.
and in the real story, they just kind of invaded, did their thing, and left. But in here, they took the invasion and crafted this story to where he's the last survivor of the army that tried to defend Tsushima,
Mm-hmm.
and he essentially single-handedly starts a little rebellion and ends up overthrowing them out of Tsushima. But in the process, I won't give major spoilers, but in the process, he starts slowly abandoning his samurai ways and his traditions, the things that he was raised upon
Mm-hmm.
to be what Tsushima needs him to be,
I
what
see.
he needs to be. He's literally even
Okay.
starts at points defying the samurai.
Ah.
So it's like he literally abandons everything he knew
Mm.
to save his people.
Great
It's like
storytelling.
he goes through all this crap, literally abandons everything to be the hero. That yeah, some people there are a couple of people who wanted to call him the villain. I'm like, no, he's not. He was a man thrust in a horrific situation. He was a hero.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the reasons I love that story so much is that despite the pressure,
Mm-hmm.
despite, his raising and despite all odds, he fought through literally everything that was thrown at him and he saved the island.
I agree. I haven't played Ghost of Tsushima, but I want to,
Oh, dude, it's awesome.
and I have a computer now that can probably run it. So yay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the reasons why I love that story and I kind of resonate for it is because that just kind of reminds me of me and my family.
Mm-hmm.
Not the overthrowing the Mongols or anything,
No.
but the idea of abandoning the traditions and the way of thinking that people have wanted to put on you
Mm-hmm.
in order to become the person that God has created us to be.
Mm-hmm.
That aspect really kind of resonated with me.
Yeah.
Abandon tradition and accept truth.
Yeah. And the thing is that truth is so important nowadays. Let's just be real. Without
Hmm.
truth, you have nothing to stand on.
The truth will set you free.
It will, for sure.
God, Jesus is truth, and He is the rock that we should stand upon. And that's what these stories need to have. Is it needs to be truth based.
Mm-hmm. Just without truth, you have nothing. That's literally it.
Exactly. Truth isn't. Ever since everybody said truth is subjective, look at the absolute crap hole that we've ended up in.
Yeah, that is.
Everything is just Without morality, without truth, there is chaos.
Yes, and
There's
the evil
confusion and
one,
chaos,
and
which will uproot a society.
yes, and he thrives in chaos. The evil one thrives in chaos.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think that this has been a good conversation. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we rabbit trailed, but you know what?
That's what editing is for.
No, we keep. No, I actually want to keep this in here.
Yeah, I know.
Hold on, let me keep this little section in here.
Okay.
We yeah, we rabbit trailed, but that's let's just be honest. If y'all, that's to be expected with the two of us.
Yeah.
We just kind of rabbit trail every now and then, but
Mm.
we still managed to stay on topic.
We try to at least.
But let's just be honest, though, those rabbit trails did come to a point. But yeah, I think this was a pretty good conversation.
All right. I'll do the editing for this, and we'll call this episode one of whatever we come up with the name for this podcast. We're still working on that.
Yeah, we haven't come up with a name yet.
Yeah. Yeah, we're probably, but it's all right. Hope you guys have enjoyed. This is Nico Wolfie signing off, and you are.
Samekh Productions. You just call me Samekh.
Yep. We'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.
See ya.